Hey folks, welcome to Flugatronic. Today we're going to be continuing our tips series, which is theory into practice. And we're going to be looking at part two of the Native American flute, Thinking in C. So if you look back at the part one of this, we kind of left open the question of why am I choosing an A minor flute, as I have here, as my C instrument. And we're going to get into that today. And to do that, we're going to have to look at musical notation and how do you write things down on paper. So before I present my system, I'm going to take a look here at two other ways of notating music for Native American flute. And this is from the flutopedia.com site, which has a lot of great information on Native American flute. Recommend you check that out. And in the music section, what you'll find is charts like this. And they usually present two different systems. So you have the flute diagrams on the bottom, and that basically tells you where to put your fingers, which holes to leave open and which to close. So that's one way of notating music, is just with those pictorial diagrams. The other system here is called Nakai tablature. That was invented by Carlos Nakai, who's obviously one of the biggest names in Native American flute music in the past few decades. So his system looks like this. It looks kind of like standard music notation, but it's always in the key of E with the four sharps there. And so those are two systems that you will run into. And I have a problem or several problems with both of these systems. So with the finger diagrams, what I don't particularly like about that is it doesn't convey any information about timing, how long you hold a note or that kind of thing. So that's kind of common with other tab systems like Guitar Tab. It does have its place, but it does have that limitation. And the other thing I really don't like about it is that flutes change their fingering quite a bit, or they vary in fingering quite a bit. And you can kind of see that in the chart here with a lot of these alternate fingerings for various notes. So some of those work on one flute and not on another. So to notate a song with picture diagrams is not going to be good for sharing it with somebody else who may have a different flute and those fingerings don't work on their flute. So that's some of the things I don't like about that. Some of the things I don't like about the Nakai system is that it's just overly complicated to me. E major is not very common key when you're talking about vocal music or jazz music, pop music. You just don't see it very often. And even in the chart here, you can see some of the in-between notes. Some of them are you have to use the natural symbol. Some have to use a different sharp symbol, and you've already got four sharps to deal with. So it's just not a very natural way of thinking to me. I know some folks that like it a lot or get used to it. It just doesn't work for me. So those are some of the reasons I came up with my system. And I'll go ahead and last time we just said the notes. So this time I'm going to play the notes and I will show you where those fit in the notation system. So all holes down, all fingers down is A, C, D, E, G, and the octave A. All right, so those are the 5 notes of the pentatonic minor scale in A. And again, remember what I said last time, it doesn't matter what flute you're holding, it's going to be notated like this. So even if I have a different keyed flute, all holds down is going to still be notated as that A. One finger up is always going to be notated as the C, and so on. So that's pretty much what we have to cover. Now, in future Future tips, what we'll do is we'll start filling in the gaps here, and where do all the other notes fit, and different scales, and just kind of building on this. But this is the basis for thinking in C for Native American style flute. So that's all we wanted to cover today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Fluketronic.